In this next series of videos on JavaScript, we're going to be taking a look at arrays and how we can use them in some creative ways. Effectively, as we learn about arrays, which is a way to store collections or a group of items or objects, we're going to be learning about arrays, making a little game along the way, and seeing how some of it can serve our purposes. So let's start out, as always, creating a basic HTML5 document. Scale up a little bit just to make it easier. So with this, we'll be breaking it down into a series of shorter videos and files. Now I do want to just add a little bit of style information in here just to keep myself amused and to make it look better. So we'll just set up with the body and do a little font family and go with the sans serif trebuchet option, and also font size, and this time we'll go at 1.2 rem. So that's going to give us just a little bit better looking text as we put it on screen. Now, in my document, I'm going to just have a paragraph, and I will give it an idea of output. We'll be using this pretty extensively for the next few files and videos that go along with this before we start growing it into a much larger project. Now that I have my HTML and my CSS done for this first one, I'm going to work on the JavaScript. So with that, we'll create our script tag and then do our standard let p equals document dot query selector. We'll grab query selector, and this time the query selector I'm going to grab is output. So we can save this along the way. Now let's go down, and we're just going to test that it's working. We'll launch the live view just to make sure all our docs are in a row before we start adding more to it. So we can just do p.inner HTML equals working. Save this and click on live view, and it launches. We'll just pull up our console. It always does that the very first time here, and now we can see it's working and it's ready to go. So we're off to a good start. Now, an array is just simply a way to have a group of objects. So I'm going to go along with the metaphor of it's like a backpack. It's a container that we can put things in. Now in JavaScript, well, it auto-completed the closing bracket. I typed it, that's why I had brackets and brackets, whoops. But in JavaScript, we designate that we're creating an array by utilizing square brackets. So I can create the array, then I can populate its content, and I'm just going to put some returns in here to move it down the screen. But we could have also just said backpack, that backpack is equal to square brackets, and then whatever I want to put into it, we then separate the items in our array with commas. Now I'm going to be putting words or strings in here, so I will have to put quotes, whether it's single or double, doesn't really matter, around those items. So we could designate our array like this, and I could say, well, my backpack, in case there's bad weather, I'll put my jacket, and I don't want to get lost in the woods, so we'll carry a compass as well. Now the thing about arrays is, it's a computer construct, and computers like to start counting from 0. So if we want to access or assign or do anything to elements in the array, we need to know what their position is or their index number inside that array. So now that I put 2 items in my array, what I could do is say p.inner HTML is going to be equal to backpack, and now use square brackets to access that, and I will just say position 0. So now if I save this and jump over here, we'll see it output jacket. Now I could even go further and say my backpack contains a single quote and plus, so we're concatenating a string with these two elements. Save that. My backpack contains a jacket. So we're able to access the array by its position. Now, if I wanted to add an additional element to this array, we could add it by specifying a position in the array, backpack, and now square bracket, and remember we have 0, 1, I'll say 2, and let's put that equal to knife, because I want to carry a knife that's useful while I'm in the woods. So that's a method that I could add it to my array. An additional method that I can do is I can push that element into my array. So I can say backpack.push and specify what I want to push, and in this case I will say matches, because we're in the woods, it'd be good to have that. Now if we want to see what we have here, there's a quick way to output the information of the backpack contents. And what we can do is say, I want to see all of those elements. So this time I got rid of specifying the specific, and I'll say join. And I want to just join it with a comma and a space. And what that will do is it will list the contents of my array, and it will put a comma space between each one. So if we save this and take a look, we'll see my backpack contains a jacket, compass, knife, matches. Now we don't get a, doesn't have and in there, so it's not great language. I mean, we could, instead of a, use a colon and then just list it, then we wouldn't need the and that would be grammatically a little bit nicer, but it's going to serve our purposes right now. So this allows us to see what we're doing. So we've been able to add some elements to the array. We can control how we see them on it. Now I'm going to add an additional element to my array, once again just using backpack.push. This time we'll put in a sleeping bag because it might be a long trip. Save that, go over here, we can see it's adding. So each time we add, it's adding it to the end of the line. Now, just to show, remembering we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 as our position. So matches is at 3. And if I were to say backpack 3, now if I put something else here like pillow, now let's see what it says. Now we see jacket, compass, knife, pillow. So we got rid of matches, we overwrote its content. So if we access something by its index number, it now will overwrite the contents on it. So we can explicitly add something by using an index position. We can just use push to add to the end of the array. And if we want to get rid of the last element in an array, we just say backpack pop. And this will remove the final element from that array. So thinking about what's there, the last element that was added was sleeping bag. If we look there, it's now jacket, compass, knife, pillow. No more sleeping bag. Better hope that we don't have to spend the night in the woods. So in the next video, we're going to look at some additional methods of accessing the elements in the array that will give us even more precision and control.